Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Voice Acting Journey. I'm your host, Justin Taylor Luna. 3 names, 1 guy. Okay, that sounded better in my head. We're going to talk today about auditions and what it takes to audition. First of all, there has to be roles that you know you can do. If you have a deep voice like I do, try to go for the deep voices. Try to go for the naturally deep voices. It's great if you can do a character voice, and that's wonderful. It really is. But I personally can't do a character voice that's not yay, which doesn't work for a lot of serious things. And you'll excuse me, my sinuses are a little stuffed up today. So, a lot of the times I'll be swallowing a lot, and they'll just be dead air. Auditions are interesting because I work from home. I work in my room where there's no soundproofing and I'm talking into a phone. So I don't have the best mic quality. But the fact that I work from home and I'm not in a studio means that I can mess up as many times as I want to. And fix it later. When you're working in a professional studio and you're actually auditioning for a show, you really don't have that luxury. You really have to be on point. And I'm not saying you don't have to be on point for home studio recording, but you have a lot more leeway. And auditioning works a lot like it does on-screen acting. You know, they give you your little passage to read. They give you the personality breakdown. What's different is a lot of the times they'll give you a picture of what this character will look like. And that seems a little bit easier for me to get a voice out of because I can go, oh, look at that guy. He looks like he sounds like this. And I can mix that in with his personality. And a lot of people, their voice seems to match their personality. Like, it's not a coincidence that a lot of the posh people that you see in movies that smoke cigars talk with their teeth clenched and, ooh, how are you? That kind of thing. You get the impression that they're very stuck up or posh or rich, you know. And it's the same for characters. Like, the way that you deliver things is key. 10 actors can go for the same part, and Morgan Freeman gets it because he understands what his character is. He could say 4 words, I want that water. And they could say those same 4 words, but Morgan Freeman gets it because he understands why he wants that water. And they may not tell him why he wants that water, but he can look at that and say, okay, why do I want that water? Is it for me or is it for someone else? They've taken everything from me. I need to rebuild my strength. And getting that water is the first step to that. And he can knock it out of the park because of that. And everybody else is reading that script because it's what's written. Or they like how they sound. And that's not gonna get them much. They're not looking for a voice. They're looking for an actor. The only difference is that a lot of the characters that you'll do will be more over the top than you may see in movies. And they don't film you. They don't show your face in the project. That's really the difference. It is more exaggerated. Look at Mark Hamill playing the Joker in Batman the Animated Series and the Arkham games, Asylum and City. Mark Hamill, as most of you know, is Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. He nailed the part of the Joker because he didn't have to be Mark Hamill. You weren't looking at Mark Hamill, you were hearing the Joker. Sure, you can make a voice and get tons of work off the voices you can do. But if you can do Bugs Bunny and just say, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" the part's going to go to somebody that can read an entire script and stay in character. One of the things that Bob Bergen talks about, and I know that voice, he's the voice of Tweety now for the Looney Tunes show. I believe it's still going on. I apologize if it's not. He said if you can do Shakespeare as Porky Pig, then you've got a better chance of landing it for somebody who's just stuttering. D. Bradley Baker was Daffy Duck in Space Jam. And he said most of my lines were improvised. They weren't in the script at all. When you audition, forget that you're a voice actor. Forget. Because you're not. You're not a voice actor when you're auditioning. You happen to be. You are this character that just happens to be you just happen to be recorded, but you are that character. Don't think of yourself as a voice actor, think of yourself as that character. Because that's what you have to be. Don't worry so much about your voice and how you sound. Worry about how you're performing, how you're delivering. A great example of this is Richard Horvitz. He's Billy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. He's Zim. He's Daggett from The Angry Beavers. He has pretty much one voice. I'm not saying he has this stuck voice. He can manipulate it. He can change it. He can pitch it up. He can change his tempo, his speech patterns. But he really doesn't change his voice. What he does is play the character. He plays the character, his voice comes out. The tone may be different, the vibe may be different, the way that he stands, the way that he gestures, and that particular voice comes out. But it's still basically his voice. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch an interview with him and then go watch Zim or Billy and Mandy. I mean, you'll see what I'm talking about. His philosophy is act, don't voice. Voice is important, and you'll get a lot more work with your versatility with your voice. Look at Tara Strong. She is Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls, and she was also Terrence from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Mac's older brother that was a jerk to him all the time. That's all one girl. So yeah, you will get more work with the more voices you can do. But at the end of the day, it comes to how well you can perform with those voices. If you do a Michael J. Fox impression, can you do anything as Michael J. Fox? Can you say anything and make it seem like it's Michael J. Fox? Can you get punched in the stomach? Can you scream for 4 hours? Because let me stress this, the union standard where you're actually getting paid, you're actually working for a big company like, say, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, whatever the case may be, is a 4-hour session, like 2 to 6 or whatever. So you're going to be working for about 4 hours in a hot booth. Make sure you have your water and your green apples. But can you do those voices for 4 hours and hold it and not go, oh, hold on, give me a second, I got this, hold on. You're not learning how to play guitar, okay? So when you audition, keep that in mind. And keep in mind that if you do a wonderful job and they say, okay, great, that's perfect, if they make you do it again, that's just for backup. You're probably going to do a wonderful take and then have to do it 2 more times. You usually have a standard 3 takes, because a lot of the time what they'll do is they'll take those 3 takes and they'll look at each part of them and go, okay, I like this. I like this part. I like the beginning. but he kind of lost it a little bit at the middle. So let's take the middle of the third take and then put it with the end of the second take, and we have the show, we have the line. So even if you nail it, you're gonna have to make sure it's just what they need. On the flip side of that, if you don't get the work, don't get discouraged. You're going to be rejected a lot. I mean, even the best, or even the A-listers like John DiMaggio from Adventure Time and Futurama and all that, he gets rejected. Morgan Freeman would get rejected if he wasn't just a phenomenal actor. But people are going to tell you no, and they're going to tell you no a lot. I talk to people about voice acting, and they're like, well, isn't that unstable? And I said, yeah, it's very unstable, especially since I'm not getting paid for it. A lot of the people that you'll talk to, even these people who've been in the business for 10, 20 years, they have another job. They work 9 to 5 and then come home and do voices and do work. It's just something you have to do for any artsy profession like music and acting and all that. But if you don't get the audition, don't get discouraged, because it doesn't mean you were bad. It means that someone was more fit to what they wanted. And look at it this way, you get experience from it either way. And when you're waiting to hear back, don't get paranoid, because I get paranoid a lot and actually get anxiety attacks, because I'm prone to anxiety attacks anyway. So it may be days, it may be 2 weeks to a month before you hear back. And a lot of the people that I've heard from who work in video games and animation don't even know that they were in a project. Like Christina Melenzia, who is in League of Legends, and the squeezable teddy bears that say I love you, and the Hallmark cards. She didn't know she was in that stuff. I mean, she said the only way she found out she was in a Hallmark card was somebody had sent her one, and she opened it up, and it was her voice. And so a lot of the times you'll do work, get paid for it, and have no idea you were in one of the most popular games of all time right now. So if you know anything about on-screen acting, you know what a voice acting audition is. They give you a list of characters, they give you lines to read, and you record them and you send them in. There are certain settings that are really the default settings for sending in an audition, and that would be a mono recording at 44,100 hertz, which is your pace, and you usually send it in a WAV file because it's easier to edit when they're trying to get everything together and mix and master and get the background music in there if they're using that. It's easier to work with. Now, sometimes you'll get specifics, like they'll tell you, like, I want it sent in stereo, and I want it sent in MP3, or whatever the case may be. If they give you that, then adhere to it. If they don't tell you anything, then you're going to send in a mono 44,100 in a WAV, and it won't make much difference, because they'll know. Like, that's a rule. That's a good rule of thumb. The only thing different about voice acting auditions to on-screen auditions a lot of the times is voice acting will have a rough sketch or a drawing of that character. and you go from there. They give you the personality rundown and give you the picture and give you the line, and it helps you find that voice a little easier. Now, you may be thinking, how do you create voices? Well, the way that you can practice doing voices, first of all, be a mimic. You don't have to be born a mimic. You don't have to have been doing it your whole life. You don't have to have a skill for it. Watch cartoons. Watch whatever. And do your best to make the voice that you hear be the voice that comes out of your mouth. If you want to do anime, watch anime. If you want to do Family Guy, watch Family Guy. Find out how to put your voice in different places. You have 6 muscles in your throat and head that will help you manipulate your voice. If you want to put it in your nose, just put it in your nose. If you want to put it up here in your head, then put it in your head. Or if you want to let it lay back in your throat and kind of just let that gravel and the grunge build up, do that. Or if you want to bring it down and talk more of in a deeper, almost announcer-esque voice, do that. The best way that I've found to do it is just think about what you're doing, visualize what you're trying to do, and it'll come out a lot easier. But there's no real way to learn it except to get out there and practice and suck for a while until it gets good. No one starts out wonderful. There may be some voices that are easier for you to do because they're closer to your natural range, but there's not a lot of difference between Al Pacino and Christopher Lloyd. I don't use a character voice because a lot of the character voices that I use or that I think I can do aren't really very serious voices. So a lot of the times when I send in an audition, it's just this voice trying to do the best that I can to bring this character to life. So, more important than what you can do with your voice is what you can do to that character. I think I've already mentioned Morgan Freeman and the water thing, but you really have to understand why it is you're saying what you're saying. And it's not because it's on the script. It's because this is the way the character feels. This is how the character is expressing himself. Become the character. Forget that you're a voice actor. You are the character that you're reading for. You're the character, you're living this character. And if you do that, you're not going to be as focused on how you sound. You're not going to be focused on how goofy you are or how you look. You're going to be focused on doing the best that you can with that character. And that's the best piece of advice that someone could give for an audition. Just play pretend. When you were younger and you were playing cowboys and Indians or Tea Party or, when I was a kid I played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman. When I played with other people, which wasn't very often, I wasn't focused, After we were playing, I didn't turn around and look at the person I was playing with and go, hey, when I said that, did that sound alright? Was that too over exaggerated? Could I have done that differently? You don't do that because you don't care, If you don't care and you just play, odds are you're going to get the job a lot faster. And you'll impress a lot more people. If you can shut out where you are and who you are and just become this character, this being, this person, and live their lives and have their personality. The job will come, the voice will come to you. If you want to learn a voice, pay attention to how someone speaks. Everyone does a Christopher Walken, because Christopher Walken has such a unique way of saying things that it's just so much fun to do. And that was more Captain Kirk than Christopher Walken, but you get the point. Don't be afraid to be goofy. Jump around, noodle your arms. Be that character and you'll have no problem. Voices will come if you want them to come. Now, animation's not the only line of work. You've got audiobooks, you've got commercials, where you don't have to do a voice. But a lot of people that I talk to want to do cartoons because we all grew up on cartoons. We all grew up watching Mel Blanc do Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Elmer Fudd and all those guys. And we go, I want to do that. That's awesome. And you really have to figure out how to do that with your voice, and there's no real way to learn it. You just do it, and you visualize what you're doing. The advice that I get is sing a lot. Even if you're not good, make sure that you can hit high notes. If you can hit high notes when you sing, you can hit high notes when you talk. You're using the same muscles. If you don't know how to place your voice, just visualize you placing your voice wherever you want to put it. And the more you do that and the more you practice, the more easier it becomes and the better you can break down a voice. But it's not about pitch or where the voice is, it's also how they talk, what rhythm they use, their speech patterns, the words that they use, and the pronunciation. So, auditions, be your character. Don't be a voice actor, be your character. Be patient, because you're going to be waiting around a lot to hear back, or you're going to do a line 20 times to make sure that they can get the best out of you. They're not going to work you to death. They understand that what you're doing can be strenuous, but they're going to make sure that they get everything they need. This business is very serious, because most of the time you're fighting to get a job. You're fighting to get out there. But when you get behind that microphone to perform, drop everything. Play. Have a good time. If you don't have fun, reevaluate why you're doing this. Because if you're not having fun, then this may not be for you. So, I talked a little bit about character voices. If you want to know more about character voices, definitely recommend Pat Fraley. Pat Fraley was the first to actually break down a character impression, or an impression in general. And he talks about the 5 characteristics of an impression and what goes into that. For auditions, Nancy Wolfson is great. Just look her up on YouTube. She did a seminar called Admit Sell. Speaking of seminars, I'll be at a webinar hosted by Robert Grant on Wednesday the 17th, and I'll link that in the description. He talks about the how to be successful in voiceover, mainly about commercial stuff. But I think it'll be very helpful. He also gives complimentary, free voice evaluations. And what that is basically an audition. He'll give you something to read, you call into his number, and you leave him a voicemail with your read on it, and he tells you what you've done wrong, how you can improve, or whatever the case may be. So I'll definitely link him in the description, the webinar first, and then when you sign up for the webinar, you can also sign up for the voice evaluation. You don't have to have a laptop to do it. You can do it from your phone or whatever the case. So, Richard Horvitz is great for auditioning as well. He's the one that gave the Morgan Freeman example that I used in this episode. And his videos are from the same channel as Nancy Wolfman. If you look on my featured channels, I have that channel added. It's the Marty 11 Talk. Just check that out for a while. You'll learn a lot. And I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going a bit longer than I wanted to. If there's anything that you really want me to cover, and yes, I'm actually getting tired. I take sleeping medication to help me go to sleep because there's voices in my head all the time that I just can't silence. So if there's anything that you want me to cover, any questions or comments or feedback that you want to give me, you can hit me up on YouTube. You can hit me up on Google Plus under the same name. You can hit me up on Skype, which is linked on my YouTube channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry I'm fading out here, but I hope I made sense of everything. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope that I helped you in the right direction. I may not have told you everything you wanted to know, but hopefully I directed you to some people who could. And I will see you all next week, next Sunday, for another edition, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more to go on. Okay, bye.